Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start.
The content of this show may contain strong language and references to sex and alcohol.
Times are really moving me when I hear the twang ringing in my ear. I said, oh, baby, let's rock and don't you have no fear. Well, my body started shaking, really something to see. The rock and roll guitars are really moving me. Rock and roll, baby, do the chicken, baby, do the stroke. Rock and roll, ooh, it's good for my soul, yeah, when I hear the sound of the wild guitar. You got me jumping around like a man from Mars. Well, my body started shaking, really something to see. The rock and roll guitars are really moving me, yeah! Guitars are really moving me. Them rock and roll guitars are really moving me. Them rock and roll guitars are really moving
me. Yeah, that's Big Rumble there with rock and roll guitars. And welcome to Radar's Just a Rockin' after the Watershed show. And tonight I've got Iain Terry as special guest. We'll be speaking to him in a short while anyway. But in the meanwhile, don't forget, we're not going to take requests tonight, unfortunately. But if you've got some for next week, you can text me for them or send me messages during the week. But the ones I've already had during the week, etc., and ones what I've sent them up before the show, etc., I will do those tonight. But unfortunately, we won't have time to put any extra ones in. Right, okay. Mel's with us as well. So good evening to you, Mel.
Good evening.
Oh, hang on a minute. Good evening, Mel.
Good evening.
It does help me not doing the technical stuff like turning up the mic and all that. Right, let's do this one. Here's Bill Haley and with Rock the Joint.
We're gonna tear down the mailbox, rip up the floor, smash out the windows and knock down the door. We're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint tonight. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. I ain't gonna hit for 6 more licks. We're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint tonight. Sugarfoot rag, side by side, a flying low and a flying wide. We're gonna rock this joint. We're gonna rock this joint. We're gonna rock this joint. We're gonna rock this joint tonight. Jones and a Virginia reel. Just let your feet know how you feel. We're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint tonight. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. I ain't gonna hit for 6 more licks. We're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint, we're gonna rock this joint tonight.
Yeah, that's Bill Haley there with Rock the Joint. I forgot to say, if you would like a shout out tonight, of course you can text me on 077 14 100 986, and that's for shout outs tonight. Right, let's do this next track, and this is a band which the early sort of 2000s, I think it was, something like that. It's Jack Rabbit Slim, and this is Hard Luck Story.
Same old high love story, 'cause I fell in love with you. Same old high love story, 'cause I know you can be true. When walking, when talking, we ended up having a fight. I think the first time you opened your mouth, well, I knew it wasn't right. We break up, we make up, but things go from black to white. You're cheating and lying to me, it's gonna break my heart tonight. Same old hot love story, 'cause I fell in love with you. Same old hot love story, 'cause I know you can be true. Hot love, baby, come on. Tomorrow, in sorrow, I'll bring back the 45s. It's worth another hearing inside, so I don't have to be alive. One day you're gonna understand how to treat a man. 'Cause one day you're gonna fall in love just from the touch of the hand. Same old high love story, 'cause I fell in love with you. Same old high love story, 'cause I know you can be true. Take it on home now, go!
Yeah, that's Jack Rabbit Slim with Hard Luck Story. Shortly we will be having Iain Terry. We're going to talk to Iain tonight. And so that should be pretty interesting because he's got a long rocking career. Way behind him and in front of him as well, of course. Right, okay, a couple of texts in from James, Robbie and Matty. They're sitting in the pub, as usual, in Byers Road in Glasgow, having a few drinks and all that, listening on their headphones tonight as the back room's a bit busy. So good evening, chaps, and hope you're all well. Right, I'm going to do, this is an instrumental, this track, and it's a bit of a psychobilly instrumental. Well, you might like this one, Iain, actually. And this track's by the Pharaohs, and it's called Wipe Off.
Radar's Just a Rockin' on smc.today.
Yeah, that was the Pharaohs there with Wipe Off. Right, and we've got a special guest in tonight, and that's Iain Terry. Good evening, Iain.
Hiya, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, move that microphone a bit closer to you. It does move.
All right, it's not too loud now.
No. Right, Iain, how are you?
Oh, okay, struggling on, still doing it. Had a couple of really good gigs recently, really great.
Good.
Dipped in for Shindig up at Skegness. Got a call from Jeff Tuck.
Oh, he's a bit of a legend on the drums,
Absolutely.
and his brother as well.
And John, yeah. And both my neighbours. And Jeff was pulling his hair out because a couple of Shindig dropped out, and he was a bit worried because it was a rock and roll reception wedding.
Whoops.
And we went up there, used Sean, I think his name was Sean, out of the Phantoms that Jeff also plays with now.
Yeah.
And we went in.
Is that the Phantoms 5'2" Eyes of Blue?
I don't know. Oh, it is it? I
think so, yeah, I have seen them.
And anyway, we went to the back room, got our respective repertoires out, found out we had enough to play for 5 days without a break. So I said to Jeff, what are you worrying about? And we stormed it, and I was getting prodded at the bar saying, we want to book you. And I said, well, I'm not allowed to say anything, but actually it's only the bass player, which was Roger Coverdale. Roger, lovely bass player, lovely man.
Yeah.
I said, I haven't seen him for about 14 years. And I said, I can't even remember what the singer's name is. And I said, we're making it up as we go along, But no, it was great. It was great.
Oh, good. Right, I'm going to ask you a question now. Where did it all begin anyway?
For me playing?
Yeah. Or even your influences and all that as well. Yeah, that's part 2 of the question as well. So.
Well, I suppose it's in my blood because apparently when we done research on the family tree, my great-grandfather was Irish immigrant due to the potato famine. And in those days, they were quite prejudiced against Irish people because they thought they were either robbers or murderers, and probably right. He wasn't allowed to do his trade, which was blacksmithing, and he turned his hand to making Lutheran banjos.
That's interesting.
And we had one, which is a complicated story, but we lost it. So anyway, that was in my blood. I had a ukulele banjo when I was 7 or 8, but unfortunately I treated it like Jimi Hendrix would treat a banjo. It just went. I always wanted to play saxophone. Everybody that knows me knows that. My parents wouldn't buy a saxophone because
they're expensive.
Well, the music dealer that came round, because in those days, if you wanted to play the trumpet or the trombone or the violin at school, you could rent it for about 5 and 6 pence a month or something. But if you wanted a saxophone or a guitar, you had to buy it, or the parents had to buy it. The guy came round, and the cheapest saxophone he had, which was a Macari saxophone, which was plastic with brass keys. And that was second hand or third hand, and that was going for 30 guineas. My parents said, no, one crack of that on the floor and it's done for, And anyway, because I was working on the farm round the back, because we had Charlie Coomber's farm that was attached to our place right on the back, I was the second richest kid in school. So by the time when we had moved to Raysbury, I had all these really cool tailored suit, Burton suited Italian suits with the winkle pickers with the 3-buckle.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was 13 at the time. The hair was all back like Eddie Cochran, and I was called Buffalo Bill at school by the teachers because I wouldn't have my hair cut at the back, and it was all long with Brill cream and Vaseline dripping down my... So they wouldn't wear the school blazer, Anyway, the school rock and roll band, I call it the school rock and roll band because they were called the Exiles. 2 of them were from school. They're all older than me. They had a bass player who could play but didn't look the part. They were arguing with him. They chucked him out for me, who looked the part but couldn't play. So my parents went and bought me a bass guitar, which was a lot cheaper than a saxophone. They got one for 11 quid. I suppose it was a lot of money then. And I was being taught by the guitarist, Robin Hall. And it was called The Exiles. And this was 1964. This was November 1964. I'm 15. And it was really cool run band. They had a manager, they had a driver, they had a van. And the first gig I did, I remember we did Colnbrook Town Hall. And after it, I've got about 5 girls that are on average, about 2.5 years older than me. And as you probably remember, if you're 13, 14, 15, if you've got one girl that's interested in you, it's 2.5 years older than you, it's a big thing. Well, I've got 5 around me after the gig, all going, oh, any cute, you know. And then the manager comes up to me, gives me 17 shillings and sixpence. So I thought, well, this is all right, isn't it? So that was the first gig of my long-established sort of, I wouldn't call it a career, I'd call it I don't know what you call it, really.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's great. Right, I'm going to play one of your tracks now you've selected. And
oh, God, it was...
it's Dwayne Eddy, The Walker. Yeah, that's Dwayne Eddy there, The Walker. Ian, what about that track?
Well, I just think it's very sort of moody. I mean, I think Dwayne Eddy did about 6 or 7 moody tracks like that. The sax playing is wonderful, which obviously attracts me to it. And it's just moody. It's certainly where I live now. If I go down to the breakers by the sea and it's sort of drizzling with rain and you're worried about something or somebody or whatever, just walk in the rain. And
yeah, we're not talking about the scrapyard, are we?
No. And I'd stick that on the earphones on the phone, and it's I just find it a very moody track. I love the vocal harmonies on there, which I think that's a work of art on there. The piano, everything is just so great. It's
fantastic,
really moody. It's a moody walking in the rain song, I think.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to play another of your tracks now, and this is Charlie Feathers, and I know it's still popular today, this one, for a bopper, and this is That Certain Female.
With a lot on my mind, and I'm looking for me a woman, but she's mighty hard to find. Lord, ask my country cousin, check the hottest spots in town. Oh, that little bitty woman, but she just ain't around. Hey, oh, I'm looking, yeah. fella, lots on my mind. I said I'm looking for me a woman, she's mighty hard to find. I asked my country cousin where she's hanging out. Lord, this little bitty woman, she just out of sight. Oh, 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 I'm lucky, just getting high and low. Don't wanna miss the sky. Keep it on the go. I said, watching that woman, she's gonna show. I need this little bitty woman, how much you'll never know. Need a simple clue where she's hanging out. And I promise to make it worth your while. If you mark her right, well, leave the price, make it fast. Waited but too long. I got that woman on my mind. I'm gonna bring her home. Look it, just get high and low. Don't wanna miss a spot. Keep it on the go. Gonna show I need a little bitty woman, how much you never know. Baby, I need you, how much you never know. Lord, I need this little bitty woman, how much you never know.
That's Certain Female there by Charlie Feathers. Ian, over to you on that.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised the kind of people who like that track. I think possibly because of the Kill Bill 2 soundtrack, when the sheriff's coming up to investigate the crime at the church, at the mass murder and everything. And one of my jobs, you can blame Rob Murley for this. I was working for kids in care at the homes for about 34 years, both here and in Canada. And the last job that the last home that I worked at for a period of years, for some reason the staff and the kids always preferred my cooking when the chef went ill. And I used to put the CDs on, self-made CDs, while I'm cooking 3 different meals, a choice of 3 different meals on a big industrial cooker. We had this German worker there. He came running in the kitchen when this track came up. She said, "Oh, I like this. This is so good. Yeah, I remember this from the film." And completely straight people. A lot of really straight people do like Charlie Feathers, and they've gone into the Charlie Feathers catalogue. People that you see them walking down the street wouldn't think they're anything to do with rock and roll, rockabilly, or psychobilly or anything. And you'd be surprised that the people that are Charlie Feathers fans as a result of that track from that film.
Excellent. Right, this next track is one I've selected, and it features yourself, Graham Fenton, and Bob Burgess, and I know they're listening as well tonight, so good evening, chaps. I hope you're all well out there anyway.
If they're not too tired from the gigs.
If you're not too tired from the gigs.
Because Graham's just come back from Sweden, I know that.
Oh, I see, right.
He might be asleep by now.
And this track is by Matchbox, and this is called Back on Sunday.
I'm going to try to get back home to you on Sunday. I got a job in a band, and I'm going to play steel guitar. All the bright lights, they can shine for me on Monday. It don't mean a thing if I'm going to be way too far. All the bad times, they can wait for me on Monday. It don't mean a thing if I'm never going to be a star. Thursday's job is full of woe for Wednesday's job. It don't mean a thing if I'm gonna be way too far. I'm gonna try to get back home to you on Sunday. I got a job in a band, I'm gonna play steel guitar. All the bright lights, they can shine for me on Monday. It don't mean a thing if I'm gonna be way too far. It don't mean a thing if I'm gonna be way too far. It don't mean a thing if I'm gonna be way too far. It don't mean a thing if I'm gonna be way too far.
Yeah, that's Matchbox back on Sunday. Before I ask Ian about that, just to let you know, Ashok is listening in from Bangalore. He's one of our regular long distance listeners of all things. So yeah, right, Matchbox back on Sunday. Ian's just informed me, but he actually wrote that song.
Well, yeah, it's a shock. Yeah, I didn't expect you to play that. Actually, I mean. I think it could have been better produced, but there we are. No, I come up with this idea, presented it to Graham and the lads, and Graham did a fantastic job on those harmonies at the end. I thought it was really good. It's excellent. But it's a shock that you played that, actually.
It's a great track. So, yeah, okay. So well done to you and the boys for doing that one anyway. Right, Freddie King next, which is one of your tracks you chose, and this is called Hideaway. Freddie King there with Hideaway. Ian?
Yes. 1961 that was.
Brilliant.
Got into the bill. It was one of the few blues sort of instrumentals that got into the top Billboard 100. I think it got to 75 or 51, something like that. That guy was amazing. I was fortunate to see him live 4 times. he went far too soon. I think he died about 42 or something. He had a heart attack on stage or something like that, which is the way that I want to go. Anyway.
Yeah.
And when you saw him, he was so entertaining. He's a big influence on a lot of the contemporary blues players like Clapton, Peter Green and people like that. Mick Taylor, who ended up with John Mayall taking the place of Peter Green and who took the place of Eric Clapton. He was a big influence on all of those. But if you listen to some of his things like Driving Sideways, you listen to the early Ventures albums, he was a big influence on the surf movement, the instrumental surf movement. And there are certain, I think it's Yellow Jacket or something by the Ventures, and they've basically lifted a complete Freddie King solo in the middle of it. So he was influencing all the surf instrumental groups, but the guy was so dynamic on stage, because when you saw him live, because he had a great voice as well. He started out as like a R&B singer. He was kind of like with a female, I've forgotten her name, kind of like doing a Mickey and Sylvia type thing.
Yep.
And he had a great voice. When you saw him live, you got like Sam Cooke type ballads, folk soul ballads, vocals. You got R&B, you got blues instrumentals, you got early black rock and roll. You got as later on, just before he died, you got some of the funk influences coming. Everything. It wasn't like going to see one person doing one type of music. You got everything with him, and guy was so entertaining. It was a sad loss.
It sounds as though it was, yeah, because what I could hear of it, I absolutely loved it. Right, Chuck Berry next, and this is another of your choices, and this is Down the Road a Piece. Chuck Berry there, Down the Road a Piece. Ian.
Yeah, as I told Dick Callan, who's listening in, and a few other people the other week when the subject came up, if you listen to that track at the beginning until halfway through, you think that's Chuck Berry playing the lead guitar. No, it isn't. It's Matt Guitar Murphy, the guy out the Blues Brothers, right? And Chuck Berry takes over halfway through, and there's another track is similar to that. It's Confessing the Blues. When do you ever hear Chuck Berry playing single notes with that fluidity? And you can tell when Chuck Berry, if you listen to that track again, those of you that are interested, obviously guitar freaks, if you listen to it halfway through, you hear what we call the double stopping, which is the double bending notes. That's Chuck Berry. So Chuck Berry takes over from about the second verse onwards, and then Matt Guitar Murphy goes back to playing the rhythm guitar. Have a listen to that. Also have a listen to Confessing the Blues. There's a few others of Chuck Berry because, and also it says on the doing research on the session notes, it's Matt Guitar Murphy playing the rhythm guitar on things like Johnny Be Good and stuff like that. And you can hear it. I obviously, when I first heard these records when I was 13, 14, when I bought with my working on the farm, and I bought with one weekend's pay. I went and bought more Chuck Berry, the red label, and I listened to things like Carol. I listen to it now, and I can hear the drop-ins because I know they had basically 2-track, 4-track recording facilities. I can hear the patchwork. I can hear where they've dropped in on the lead guitar and things like Carol and the answer backs. But a lot of those rhythm guitar tracks, like Johnny Be Good, Bye Bye John, it's Matt Guitar Murphy playing the rhythm. And also on some of those other tracks, when you hear the fluent lead of the single note playing, that's Matt Guitar Murphy. It's not Chuck Berry.
Oh, you're a wealth of knowledge on this.
Well, it's because one's fanatical, you know.
Someone needs to be, don't they? A wealth of knowledge. Right, I'm going to play another track now. This is one of my choices, and this is a band I know quite well. And they play a lot of gigs. So this is the Rat Pack, and this is called Rockin' Express.
Hi, this is Jack from Portrush, Northern Ireland, and you're listening to Radar's Just the Rockin' after the Watershed Show.
Yeah, that's the Rat Pack with Rockin' Express. Right, who wants this one? Oscar from Spain. He wants Warren Smith with Miss Froggy.
Well, I got a gal shaped just like a frog. Yes, I got a gal, she's shaped just like a frog. I found her drinking muddy water, sleeping in a hollow log. Well, she must have been my mama's only child. Yes, she must have been my mama's only child. Well, she ought to have been a gorilla, boy, she sure is wild. Well, it's Saturday night, I sure am feeling blue. Yes, it's Saturday night, I sure am feeling blue. Meet me in the bottom, bring me my boots and shoes. Yeah, meet me in the bottom, bring my boots and shoes. Yeah, meet me in the bottom, bring my boots and shoes. We're gonna go out tonight and rock away all of our blues. Yes, I got a gal shaped just like a frog. Yes, I got a gal shaped just like a frog. I found her drinking muddy water, sleeping in a hollow log. Yeah, meet me in the bottom, bring me my boots and shoes. Yeah, meet me in the bottom, bring me my boots and shoes. Let's go out tonight and rock away all of our blues.
Yeah, Warren Smith, Miss Froggy. That was especially for Oscar from Spain. Jono's also joined the Scottish boys in the pub in Glasgow, and they're all on they're on Mac Ewan's Export tonight, so they'll be well smashed. Right, let's do one of your songs, Ian, and this is Cole Perkins' Lonely Heart.
Lonely heart, you have a lonely heart, a faint apart of a fool. Emptiness, you're gonna find emptiness, where you felt the keys before that loves you. Day after day, night after night, I waited for your love. Time they'll find just your kind under the big stars above. Oh, lonely heart, you're gonna have a lonely heart. Oh, when you're far off and fool. Day after day, night after night, I waited for your love. And they'll find that you're kind under the big stars above. Yeah, lonely heart, you're gonna have a lonely heart. For playing a bar, I've had a fool. Lonely heart, you're gonna have a lonely heart. 'Cause you played a bar, I've had a fool. Oh, you're gonna have a lonely heart, honey. Got for playing a bar. Yes, you will. Better see my heart, lonely heart. You're gonna be lonely heart. Yeah, lonely heart. Oh, waiting for you.
Yeah, that's Cole Perkins there with Lonely Heart. Ian.
Yeah, that's another shock. That's not the version that he had a hit with, and it's a much better version. I think it's a better production. You actually hear the bass, the guitar's much better, and it's a better vocal. But but that's not what he had in the charts in '64. That's not the same version. I think the version he had in the charts is a little bit more frantic, and it's not as well recorded. That was the last hit he had, actually.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I've actually recorded that myself.
Excellent.
You know, with some help from Jimmy Redhead out of Matchbox and a few other people of quite nominal sort of name value that have done helped me out on the harmony vocals.
Yeah, because you've been in quite a few bands, haven't you?
Yeah, last count. Well, it must be getting on for 80 bands now. I always say it's over 70 bands and 65 jobs. Yeah, quite a lot of bands. I think in the 70s and 80s I had this habit of forming bands and then sort of staying with them for about 2 years and leaving.
Any particular bands you started up to note, which some of us know?
Well, obviously I'm a co-founder of the Cruisers with Gordon and Jimmy, co-founder of Matchbox again with Jimmy and Fred, and the original singer Whiffle, co-founder of Clive's Jive 5.
Yep.
Oh God, it goes on and on.
I'm glad I've seen all them. I didn't see Whiffle singing though, but I was far too
young. He's a great singer. I mean, really he drove me out the band because I mean we were doing before we went professional. We were doing 8 gigs a week, 2 on Sunday at the Duke of Cambridge. And if we didn't do a gig on a Tuesday or Thursday, it was like a national inquiry. And then about 3 of us holding down day jobs as well. I mean, the money was flowing. But it just got bad. I mean, he's long gone now, Whiffle, so I'm not denigrating anyone really, but because it's just a fact. But it's just the more that he drank, the more he would kind of like try and pick a fight with me, and I just got fed up with it. It's not very nice when you're looking forward to a gig and you don't know, depending on how many pints or whiskies he's going to have, if you're going to get into a fight that night, you know. And I'm afraid it culminated in Denmark, where I threw a 1964 pre-CBS Fender Stratocaster across the room in the dressing room. And that's when I thought, well, I've had enough.
Yeah.
You know. But then again, I mean, Matchbox, I've been in and out of that band so many times. I mean, more times than I used me bus pass.
Yeah, I've seen you in them a couple of times myself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, take the place of Gordon when he had a shoulder operation. That was the last gig Cavan did before his demise.
Right.
I remember talking to Cavan that night.
Yeah, and I've seen you be a bass player as well.
Yeah, no, I always think it's Fred on a diet. And then I've taken over from Steve, you know, when he's had various things, got to go to hospital or whatever. So I think you can safely say, as I think Gordon always said, in the last sort of 8 or 10 years, I'm kind of like the official Matchbox step, or I have been, you know.
Right.
Up until I got chucked out the last time. But yeah, no, you know, I've formed these bands and then, you know, something happens, I go off. I mean, it's like with Clive. I mean, originally we did Pebble Mill at 1 and everything. I joined and I was quite interested in what it was in the beginning, a swing band. It was supposed to be a swing band. We were thinking of getting Clive was thinking of getting in a trombone player or a saxophone player, because he was concentrating more on the vocals. He loved what I was into. I liked what he was into. I was turning him on to Jimmy McCracklin, and Junior Wells and things like that. More of the rock and blues side of things. But then all of a sudden he got a taste for all this surf stuff. Although I have been in the Surfing Gorillas as a favour to him playing bass. I was chucked out of that band as well. But no, Clive's Jive, it was great when it was a swing thing. We did Pebble Mill and everything. It was into the Louis Jordan stuff and all that. And all of a sudden, he wanted to do surf music. And I wasn't into... I'm still not, you know, it's all right to listen to, but I'm really, you know, Dick Dale, and it doesn't really sort of turn me on, you know. I don't want to upset anyone, but I mean,
but
I like moving around the fretboard, you know, give me a Freddie King or a T-Bone Walker or something, you know.
Yeah. No, I was lucky enough to see Clive's Jive 5 anyway, and they were a great band at the time. Right, we've got another of your tracks now, and this is Elvis with, I know Mel likes this one as well, it's Crawfish.
Crawfish, crawfish, the stars were bright. Put a big long hook on a big long pole, and I pulled Mr. Crawfish out of his hole. Crawfish, crawfish. See, I got him, see the size, stripped and cleaned before your eyes. Sweet meat look, fresh and ready to cook. Crawfish, crawfish. Now take Mr. Crawfish in your hand. He's gonna look good in your frying pan. If you fry him crisp or you boil him right, he'll be sweeter than sugar with every bite. Crawfish, crawfish. See, I got him, see the size, stripped and cleaned before your eyes. Sweet look, fresh and ready to cook. Crawfish, crawfish.
Elvis Presley with Crawfish. Ian.
Yeah, that's a great scene from King Creole, isn't it? At the beginning, you know, down that street, and you got that African American singer answering him back. Beautiful job. It's just so moody.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I make these CDs up for hopefully when I get driving again, if I can get over the nerve, too many accidents. And I make these CDs up for driving. And the funny thing is, Clive took me to see when he was backing up Giselle at the London Polytechnic, and also the Rhythm Shakers were on. And they were doing a sound check, and I was the only one there apart from the sound crew in this big hall, and it was like they doing a private concert for me. It was brilliant. Anyway, Clive gave me the CD that he was given by Giselle to do the show so he could practice the tenor sax. I put this rocking track of Giselle's on, then I put Crawfish by Elvis after it. Then I saw a CD of Giselle, and she had that same rocking track that I put on there with her version of Crawfish.
Wow.
Weird or what?
Just a bit.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, I've got another request to play now. Jason Jackson sent me this one earlier on in the week. He's from London, and he wants the Polecats with Cotton Picking Rocker.
In my hometown where I was born, my clothes are kind of raggy and my shoes are worn. I used to plow the fields, I used to sow the corn, until I heard the news of rock and roll was born. Well, I rocked in my rocking shoes, yeah, I rocked to rock away. Oh, my blues, oh, well, the bluebird just to bring the news. I rocked all the way in my rocking shoes. Now I got to take it rocking way back. I first started rocking in the holy shack with old driver's bus car and Cadillac. Got to make it rocking way back. Say you're doing it, got to a high degree. Well, baby, can't you see? Rock and roll music was meant for me. Well, I rock in my rocking shoes, yeah, rock away all my blues. Well, the bluebird just to bring the news. Rocked all the way in my rocking shoes. Now I gotta take it rocking way back. First started rocking in the holy shack. Road drive for a car or a Cadillac. Gotta make it rocking way back. Way back, first started rocking in the holy shack. Don't drive sports car or Cadillac. Gotta make it rock rockin' way back. Gotta make it rockin' way back. Gotta make it rockin' way back. Gotta make it rockin' way back.
Hi, this is Oscar from Spain, and you are listening to Raiders Just a Rockin'. Gracias.
Yeah, that was the Polecats with Cotton Pick and Rocker, especially for Jason Jackson. Ian, do you want to add anything on that one?
Yeah, we were just saying that I seem to remember that it was either the first gig or one of the first gigs that the Polecats did. They were supporting Rock Island Lion when I was playing in Rock Island Lion. I can't remember if we were back in Screaming Lord Such that night or whatever, but I remember the promoter was refusing to pay them. And that night, because I think it was their first gig, and there was a few things lacking, I went and had a word with the promoter without them knowing, and because they didn't have any petrol for their van, they had to pay the roadie, and they hadn't eaten all day, and I believe the promoter paid them half the whack after I spoke to them.
Yeah.
As we were on the early sort of like punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, whatever, if I can give my daughter's band a plug,
Certainly.
the blue, she'll be listening in, Marie Terry on bass, the Blue Carpet Band. If anybody out there really likes a bit of rampant psychobilly leading into a bit of punk, you've not heard anything unless you've heard them do Warren Smith stuff the way they do it with two, I think it's two ex-members of UK Subs and Demented I'll Go. Their front singer Jamal is just amazing. He's just amazing. You just worn out watching him. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's a
Blue Carpet Band.
Yeah, excellent. I think they played at Bedlam last time as well, and they had a good repertoire at that one as well. So yeah, right. I'm going to play one of your tracks now, Ian. This is The Ventures, and most of us will know this if you've been on the rock and roll scene for many, many years. This is Walk Don't Run. That's The Ventures, Walk Don't Run. Ian.
Yeah, you was asking me about my influences. That was from an instrumental group. I think that's the greatest instrumental on the rock and roll side of things, apart from Tequila. Those are the two ultimate instrumentals on the rock and roll side of things for me. I always went for the Ventures. Most people go for the Shadows. To me, I'm not... Oh God, I'm going to upset people here. To me, the Shadows is like playing by numbers. It's too. what I say to people when, as in when I stood in for Shindig, when we were putting the set list together, I said, don't ask me to play Apache because it turns into a Mickey take and Jimi Hendrix. Don't ask me to play FBI because I've been told off about this, as Dave Dix will tell you. I've been told off about this at a holiday camp because if I play FBI, it ends up going into I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside. I can't help it. But the Ventures, to me, they are what they are in the beginning. They were rough. They had a rough edge to them. They were construction site workers that wanted to play guitar.
Interesting.
And well, they were, yeah. And you're talking about Wilson and Bogle and all that. And it's like, you know, all their instrumental albums and their singles all the way through the 60s. It just has something that it has that rawness to me, and the Ventures always attracted me more so than the Shadows.
Excellent. Brilliant. Right, I've just got to read out something for next week. Next week, folks, if you're listening in, well, hopefully you'll be listening in because it's part 5 of the Rockin' 80s next week. So tune in next week to have your Rockin' 80s stuff. Right, okay, this next one is one of Ian's, and this is called Saturday Night
Rock-a-boogie.
It is. I was just taking a breath then. It's Anthony Newley.
On Monday, on Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, on a Friday, on a Saturday night, I'm the king. Monday, my baby doll gets so busy, buzzing around just like a honeybee. She looks so neat and sugar pie, washing out my slim jim tie, just scrubbing away, just a scrubbing away. She's gonna make me like a king for Saturday night. On a Tuesday, my baby doll gets so busy, buzzing around just like a honeybee. She looks just like a candy packet, brushing up my new suede jacket, just a brushing away, just a brushing away. She's gonna make me like a king for Saturday night. On Wednesday, my baby doll gets so busy, buzzing around just like a honeybee. She looks so neat, I want to dance, greasing up my dream pipe pants, just greasing away, just a greasing away. She's gonna make me like a king for Saturday night. On a Thursday, my baby doll gets busy, 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 buzzing around just like a honeybee. She's sweeter than a candy box, washing out my two-tone socks, just washing away, just a washing away. She's gonna make me like a king for Saturday night. On a Friday, my baby doll gets so busy, 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 buzzing around just like a honeybee. She's fresher than tomorrow's news, brushing up my blue suede shoes, just a brushing away, just a brushing away, man. She's gonna make me like a king for Saturday night. On a Saturday, my baby takes it easy. She's laying around just like a queenie bee. She's a living doll and she's my day. We're gonna rock to that 88, just a rockin' away, just a rockin' away. I'm the king and she's the queen on Saturday night. Have a nice Sunday. I'm the king and she's the queen on Saturday night.
Anthony Newley with Saturday Night Rock-a-Boogie.
I know you might find that a bit strange as one of my favourite top 10, top 20 things. But the thing is, I think like with a lot of the music of the 50s coming into rock and roll, I mean, if you're a kid, if you've got problems, you go into a dream world and it's an escape.
Yeah.
Picture the scene. It's 1959. It's raining. I've just spent a year in hospital with kidney trouble. I couldn't read and write, and they sent me 3 days. I know it's not the correct thing to say, but I can't think of the name. They sent me to 3 days in the week. They sent me to what they call a backwards school because I couldn't read or write.
Right.
Went to the regular school on the Monday and the Friday. Eventually, I worked myself up into the A stream and I ended up at this place called Rutherford, which was barbaric school. Anyway. A lot of the teachers, as far as I'm concerned, were a bit sort of psychopathic, you know. I used to bunk off school. I remember walking around, it was up past near Halsden somewhere, and there was the Odeon Theatre, and it was raining. It's always raining when one's depressed. Went in there, and I thought I was going to see a comedy film. I thought I was going to see a carry-on film. And suddenly the main feature comes on, which is Idle on Parade. And I hear this incredible left-hand boogie-woogie, which I've found out is Joe Piano Henderson on the left hand. And then the camera cuts into this really shiny pair of shoes with this incredible sort of shiny mohair zoot suit, and it's going up. It's Anthony Newley with a Hofner guitar, which looks as big as he is. And I was just totally transformed, you know, with the opening part of that film. And it reminded me of the history teacher at Rutherford who took over from the music teacher when he was ill. And he played some boogie-woogie on the piano, and because it was an all-boys school. Mm. And he realised the excitement. He was going, no, lads, calm down, you know. Classical music comes first. It's incredible. And left-hand boogie-woogie was like that. It was like that on that piano. And that's what that track means to me. It's, you know, I thought I was going to see a comedy film, and like it was all about this. Basically, it's a Mickey take of Elvis going into the army, but you know,
yeah.
But I think that's an incredible track.
It's a good film. We've both seen it,
and I love the saxes on that. If you listen, and it builds in tempo as it goes up. It changes key every verse, and those saxophones. Again, we're back to the saxophones, not just the tenors. The tenors are in harmony there in that echo, but if you listen to it again, you can hear the baritone. There's about 2 or 3 baritones going. Bah, bah. I just love that track. I love it.
Brilliant. No, that is a good story. Anyway, right, I'm going to play something what you're going to be very familiar with, and this is a band called Shotgun, if you've ever heard of them, and this is called Cadillac 55.
A Cadillac 55, gonna take you to the bell job. Gonna rock with a red flag, try to the poking in a sack. Well, come on and dance away, a boogie woogie with me. Gonna rock till 12 o'clock, drive down to the dog. Come on now, read a flag, try sitting down in the back. With my radio off, play a rockabilly song. You ought to see my baby, she's really got one. Red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac, yeah! Well, Cadillac 55, gonna take you to the bell job. Gonna rock with a Rita flag, drop to the boogie in a sack. Come on and dance away, oh boogie woogie with me. Gonna red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac got to go car, Cadillac got a red car, Cadillac gotta go car, Cadillac.
That Shotgun with Cadillac 55. I tell you what, a couple of years ago, Dave and Amanda got married, and Iain got up with the band and he sung that, and that made my night. Iain.
Thank you. Yeah. No, we were just talking about how we named Shotgun. It was my mother that named that band. because originally me and Bob Burgess came up with the idea to form a band, after we both left Matchbox. And we got Ray Neal and Rob Murley involved. And I think Bob wanted to call it the Rockin' Rhythm Cats, and I said no. And I was around my mother's one time, and she said, and my brother walked in with a shotgun because he'd been shooting farmland. And she says, why don't you call it Shotgun? I said, yeah, that's the one. And somebody said to us, because we used to drink a lot, because I think we were all inebriated when we done the Dave Paramore album, which incidentally 2 weeks ago I was told was number 51 in the LP charts in Japan. Cool. And because we used to drink a lot, somebody said to me, shouldn't have been called Shotgun, we should have been called Pistol.
Right, I better turn you down on that. I've got a request to pay now, and this is for Shake, and he wants Pete Hutton and the Beyonders, and this is Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Well, fooling around with you could be dangerous for someone like me. It's clear like we're trapped right here, but I'm telling you, baby, don't even dare try to pull the wool over me. And nobody can change the way I am. Well, I've been doing alright until now. It's clear that you're crowding me. You feel you like a bumblebee. Go fly away to another height. Well, I got stung once before. Well, someone like you knocked on my door. Once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy. That's me. Well, you don't have a hold on me, baby. That's the way I want it to be. 'Cause I got stung once before. For someone like you knocked on my door. Once bitten, twice shy, that's me. Well, I got stung once before when someone like you knocked on my door. Once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy, that's me.
That's Pete Hutton and the Beyonders, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, for Shake, who's a regular listener to this show. Right, one of your tracks now, Ian, and this is Tommy Steele with Rock with the Caveman.
The old time cave dweller lived in a cave. This is what he did when he wanted to rave. Took a stick and he drew on the wall. Man out of her to have himself a ball. Rock with the caveman. Roll with the caveman. Shake with the caveman. Baby, make with the caveman. Oh boy, break with the caveman. Style and tight, style and might. I hold your baby very tight. His way with women was rather neat. Love a girl right off her feet. You know the lyric writers never lied. Where they got the saying starry-eyed. Rock with a caveman. Roll with the caveman. Shake with the caveman. Break with the caveman. Oh boy, make with the caveman. Style of tight, style of mine. I hold you baby very tight. Popper sings this song. Archaeologists done me wrong. British Museum's got my head. Most unfortunate 'cause I ain't dead. Rock with a caveman. Roll with a caveman. Shake with the caveman. Break with the caveman. Make with the caveman. C-A-V-E
Tommy Steele, Rock with the Caveman. Ian.
Yeah, that's Ronnie Scott on tenor sax. Anybody disputes that? I've seen the photographs with Tommy Steele on his right recording it. Yeah, in the 56, it seemed those of you out there that are old enough to remember, it's certainly in the town centres, 56, which is not long after the war. We were known as bomb site kids. We used to play on bomb sites. We were all us kids in Paddington down the Ashmore Road. We used to play on the bomb sites. In those days, it wasn't a case of little Jimmy's died of drugs. It was a case of little Jimmy's died because he's fallen through 5 floors and broken his neck. The local coppers down the... I remember this guy looked like he used to be a boxer in the services, a police sergeant. He used to grab hold of us and hit us. And he used to say that thing, Gertcha, and hit us around the ear holes to keep us off the bomb sites. We all wanted to be Tommy Steele. We used to imitate him. Those of us that the parents started to earn money, we could get the bumpers to imitate Tommy Steele, the jeans with the turn-ups. I had a 2-tone jerkin like Tommy Steele, like a wind cheater with brown sort of fawn shoulder pads, like Tommy Steele. I remember we went to see the Tommy Steele story, and in those days you can sit in the pictures, watch all the Pathé News and the cartoons, and we sat in there and we watched it again. We all wanted to be Tommy Steele. It seemed like he was the number one for us kids, us bomb site kids, obviously younger than the Teddy Boys and all that. It seemed like he'd been around forever. It must have been only, 12 months, 18 months. Then all of a sudden, everyone's going... I can't upset any Elvis fans because I've got 2 choices out of my top 10 here tonight. Or maybe I can upset Elvis fans. But anyway, suddenly this guy comes out called Elvis Presley. Elvis who? And it just didn't get me. It didn't get me or my little friends. We were all about, 7 or 8 then. Bomb site kids in the days when you can go out and play out unsupervised. Well, not through choice. And suddenly I remember this older boy, Albert 7, playing this Heartbreak Hotel to me. I said, it hasn't even got drums on it. It just sounds like he's singing in the bathroom to me. It just didn't get me, But Tommy Steele was our hero. We all want... And as Bruce Welch says, a lot of people, when they do his historical biographies of rock and roll, of this country and Europe... They always gloss over Tommy Steele. Everyone seems to gloss over, and they all forget how big he was. He was massive. He was the number one for us little kids. He was the number one for about 14 months. There was nobody else.
No.
Nobody. 14 months when you're a kid is like an eternity.
And he was our British number one.
And we all wanted to be Tommy Steele. Not the older Teds and that. They were all into Bill Haley. Well, I was into Haley as well, but I mean...
Yeah. Well, talk about Bill Haley. This is your next track with Bill Haley in the comments, and this is called Detour.
Headed down life's crooked road, lots of things I never know, and the cause of me not knowing I now find. Trouble got in the trail, spent the next 5 years in jail. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, pay no mind to what it said. Detour, all these bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign. When I got right to the place where it said about face, I reckoned all my troubles were behind. But the farther I go, the more sorrow I know. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, hey, don't mind what it said. Detour, all these bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign.
Bill Haley in the comments there with Detour. Over to you, Ian.
Yeah, that's one of my choices because that's the soundtrack to whenever I got in trouble. When we moved to Raisby, about 61, 62, I tried to order from Radio Rentals the Bill Haley Rock Around the Clock album. It was out of production at that time, although 2 years later it was back in production because, as people may or may not know, Rock Around the Clock regurgitated back into the charts in 64, along with this hit of Green Door. I got a copy then, but I couldn't get a copy of Rock Around the Clock. So at that time, all I could get on catalogue was 3 EPs. I ordered 2 out of 3 series of 3 EPs, which was on when he went to United Artists. That's obviously not the best because people listening think, well, what have I chosen that for? Because it's not exactly the best production of Bill Haley dance music that we all know and love. But that was on one of the EPs that I got, the only thing that I could get from Bill Haley at the time. We won't talk about his release of Tenor Man on Stateside in 1963. It was about the most awful single he's ever produced. But we won't go into Tenor Man. That was on an EP, and every time I seem to get into trouble throughout the years, even when I haven't got a copy of the album, of the EP, or a copy of that track. I've now got a copy of it on CD. But every time I seem to get into trouble, if it's a fist fight, and one time I was running for the law, I thought I was in trouble with the law, and it turns out I wasn't. I went to live with my cousin who's a criminal. But anyway, every time there seems to be... you go down a road or a situation, you think, oh my God, I always had that track of Bill Haley singing in my head, Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. And I can remember talking to Johnny Grand in the hotel for breakfast and Franny Beecher, because with Graham Fenton's Matchbox and also Clive's Drive 5, we supported the Comets out in Germany at separate times. And I can remember having breakfast with Franny Beecher and Johnny Grand, and they always said that Bill Haley really, in his heart, always wanted to be a country singer, not even at the time what you would call a contemporary country singer. His heart was, he wanted to be like a Slim Whitman, or something like that. And that, I think, is one of the leanings of that United Artists release of those 3 EPs. They probably said, oh, well, he wants to do that, let him do it. You know, they just done it to keep him quiet and go and record the next thing. But that is a soundtrack of my life, that record. It's that every time I'm facing danger or I'm facing a problem, but I can hear Bill Haley's voice and Franny Beecher's guitar, because he was still with him then.
Excellent.
Coming into my head. Watch out, the road's ahead, you know.
Right, now, I've got a request here for, who's this one for? I'm just having a look down the list. Oh, it's for Winston from London. He's a Chinese Londoner, by the way, and he wants a bit of blues with Arthur Craddock with Mean Old Frisco, just after this.
Rockabilly, Psychobilly, or rock and roll with Radar on smc.today.
Now that mean old dirty
Frisco and that low down Sandy P. Yes, that mean old Frisco, low down Sandy P. Done took my baby away, man, and blowed back out on me. I was standing, yes, looking, watching that southern whistle blow. Yes, I was standing looking, watching that southern whistle blow. Now she didn't catch that southern. Lord, now where did the woman go? Lord, I ain't got no special rider here. Lord, I ain't got no special rider here. I might leave, 'cause I don't feel welcome here. Lord, I wonder if she'll answer if I write. Lord, I wonder she'll answer if I write. Now I wonder, will my baby come home tonight? Well, now that's all right, mama. Baby, that's all right for you, yes, that's all right, any way you do. Well, now that's all right, any way you do.
Arthur Craddock there. Right, okay, this next track is for Iain, and this is Earl Bostic, and this is called Flamingo. Bostic with Flamingo. Very sexy, that one.
Yeah, I went back to the sax again. I remember the first time I heard that. But of all things, I think it was Woman's Hour doing an interview with Humphrey Littleton. And they played a bit of that record, and I think it was about 8 or 9. I thought, what the hell is that? It's just such a brilliant sound. I mean, Dave Dix, the sax player out of Rockhouse, will probably tell you what he's doing on the reed on that. He just gets a distinctive sound. It's all down to the reed and the blowing, and it's just fantastic. And the feel on that is just fantastic.
Excellent. Right, here's another of your tracks now. This is Elvis Presley, A Bigger Hunk of Love.
Hey, baby, I ain't asking what you. No, 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 baby, I ain't asking what you.
Just a bigger hunk of love.
I will do. Don't be a stingy little mama. You about to stop me half to death. Now you can spare a kiss or two and still have many levels on the bay.
No, 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 no.
I ain't asking what you.
No, 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 no. Just a bigger hunk of love.
I will do. Oh, that's right.
Filled with honey to the top.
But I ain't greedy, baby. All I want is all you got on the plate.
No, 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 no.
I ain't asking what you.
No, 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 no. Just a bigger hunk of love.
I will do. Oh, that's right.
Pocket. I got a rabbit foot around my wrist, and I have everything my lucky charms could bring. If you give me just a one sweet kiss,
I ain't asking what you.
Just a big hunk of love.
That's right.
Just a big hunk of love. I will do.
That's right.
Just a big hunk of love.
A Bigger Hunk of Love by Elvis Presley. Ian?
Yeah, I know I said I wasn't too impressed when Elvis first came out, what we heard, the RCA things like Heartbreak Hotel, but that, I think, is about the most perfect commercial rock and roll record, I think, ever recorded. I think that the Jordanaires are on form, Floyd Kramer on piano is fantastic. It's Hank Garland on guitar, it isn't Scotty Moore. And although DJ Fontana was at the session, it's not him on the drums. There were 3 drummers at that session. I can't remember the name of the guy playing the drums on that. And it was done on, I think, Elvis's first thing of leave from Germany when he went back to the States on holiday, or what they call it. I don't know what the Yanks call it. And
Vacation, I think.
No, R&R, vacation, yeah.
Yeah.
And recorded some things down like Fame and Fortune for the Future, and it's now or never, but I know that was done. And that's Hank Garland on guitar, it's not Scotty Moore, and it's not DJ Fontana on drums, but it's just a perfect record, the breaks on it and everything. I've actually recorded that with a Canadian artist when I was in Canada. And those breaks are completely different, and it's a very hard track to do and get into maintain the feel throughout the track. I mean, we managed to do it, but it's not a patch on that, the feel on that. I think it's a perfect rock and roll record to me.
Yeah, it certainly is anyway. Right, this next track is for Hélène from Paris, and here's another band you was in at one time or another. It's the Flying Saucers with Oh Carol.
Oh, Carol, I'm but a fool. Darling, I love you. treat me cruel. You hurt me and you made me cry. But if you leave me, I would surely die. Darling, there will never be another, 'cause I love you so. No, never leave me. Say you'll never go. I will always want you for my sweetheart. No matter what you do. Oh, Carol, I'm so in love with you. Oh, Carol, I am but a fool. I love you, though you treat me cruel. You hurt me, and you made me cry. But if you leave me, I will surely die. Darling, there will never be another, 'cause I love you so. Don't ever leave me. Say you'll never go. I will always want you for my sweetheart. No matter what you do. Whoa, Carol, I'm so in love with you.
That's a Flying Saucers, Oh Carol, especially for LN, and I believe you was in that band for a while, weren't you, Ian?
In
Flying Saucers.
Oh, Flying, yeah, I took the place of Niggsy when Niggsy's back. He was in hospital with his back. And funny thing was, I was up in Manchester and there was a couple of middle-aged couple at the time there. And they were saying, oh, we know you from somewhere. You know, I went through all the bands. I went through Shotgun. Oh, no, was you in Shotgun or Cruisers? No, Matchbox. Oh, was you in Matchbox? You know, oh, we didn't see you there. I went through all the bands and then they said, oh, we know where we've seen you, because I think I was up there with Freddie Fingers Lee. I said, we know where we've seen you before. You was in the Flying Saucers. So, like, as far as a contingency up in Manchester is concerned, I'm an ex-Flying Saucer.
Excellent.
I was only with them for about 5.5 weeks.
Right, here's another one. Here's a band you were definitely with, and I believe you was on this particular
No, it's all a
track.
dream. I'm going to click me heels in a minute and fly back to Kansas.
I'm going to do another Matchbox one, and this is Ain't Misbehaving. Like you are now.
Hey man, check that. No one to walk with, all by myself. No one to talk with, I'm happy on the shelf. In misbehaving, saving my love for you. I'm never out late, nowhere to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. In misbehaving, saving my love for you. Like a corner, in a corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, baby, no one to walk with all by myself. No one to talk with, I'm happy myself. No one to talk with, I'm happy on the shelf. He misbehaved then, saving my love for you. I'm never out late, nowhere to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. He misbehaved then, saving my love for you. Saving my love for you. Saving my love for you. Saving my love for you.
Matchbox with Ain't Misbehaving. You had quite a bit of input on that, didn't you, Ian?
Yeah, we came up. I think we've done about. Well, we was asked to do about the second or third dedication to a Gene Vincent CD or album, and I said to Graham Fenton, I said, I've got this idea. Instead of doing things like Ain't She Sweet, let's do something that Gene Vincent might have done but didn't do in the same style. So at that particular time, Graham and Caroline used to live around the corner from me in Feltham. So I took the guitar, went round there, and I said, don't sing it, obviously, like Tommy Bruce or Fat Swallow. And I sang the phrasing to him. There's quite a lot of chords in it. There's about 38 chords in it. And I think when I'd done the lead break, like trying to get as near to Cliff Gallup as I could, I think it took me about 5 takes, and then we ended up using the original, the first lead break that I did anyway. So it's a waste of time messing around with the others anyway. But when the Blue Cats came over, I was on their album. I was asked to be on their album because could I come down and imitate Johnny Meeks? I said, well, I would like to do that, but I would not like my name on the album, which they did do. And then I was a guest at one of the Blue Caps gigs. I think it was either Tottenham or the Oval. And Paul Pink, the Blue Caps, got in the van because we dropped them off at their hotel. And I was sitting in the back of the van with Paul Pink. And he said, I heard you ain't misbehaving, Ian, because we'd just done it then, because Graham had played it to him. And it was fascinating to find out. He said that when they did Ain't She Sweet and all those things in that vein, Ain't Misbehaving was actually rehearsed on that 56th session.
All right.
And they were going to do that, but it was kind of like put on the back burner, and Ain't She Sweet took over in prominence. But when he told, and he said that the hairs on the back of my back went up, because he said that is as close as what sounds like what we rehearsed on that session,
Yeah,
so,
because the whole CD is a very good CD actually with that one, because I've actually got that one myself. There's not a lot of Matchbox stuff I haven't got. Okay, right. This next one is for Mark O'Neill from Bradford, who requested this during the week, and he wants Curtis Gordon with Rompin' and Stompin'.
Now way down south where I was born, they rock all night till early morn. The music starts going, you shuffle your feet while the piano plays an 8-bar beat. He plays it high, he plays it low. That's when the Hellcats start to go. They start rocking, rocking and rolling, romping and stomping all the whole night long. Well, they just keep going and they never stop. Sometimes I think they'll blow their top. Then somebody lets out a cry and say, what's that steel guitar? Man, go wild and start rocking, rocking and rolling, romping and stomping all the whole night long. There's a little fella with freckles on his face. I'm telling you, boy, he plays a knocked out bass. He's got it cut way down to his sides, and when he plays, everybody goes plumb wild and starts rocking, rocking and rolling, romping and stomping all the whole night long. Now there's another fella who's as skinny as a bean. He plays the hottest fiddle you ever seen. He don't talk much, but he always smiles, and when he plays, everybody goes plumb wild. He starts rocking, rocking and rolling, romping and stomping all the whole night long. They start rocking, rocking and rolling, romping and stomping all the whole night long.
Yeah, that's Curtis Gordon romping and stomping there. Right, okay. We're coming to sort of the end of the show. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to do this one, which features Iain in as well. And this is Clive's Jive 5 with Nightmare.
Footsteps in the hall I hear, coming up and down the stairs. Now you're standing in the hall, ain't you got no heart at all? Footsteps in the hall I hear, coming up and down the stairs. Is this a reality or one big nightmare?
Yeah, Clive's Jive 5 there with Nightmare. Iain.
Yes.
You was on that, weren't you?
Yes. That's all the guitars, me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
I had trouble in identifying it when you said you were going to play Nightmare because it's so long since I've heard that album. The only things that I play on that is my How to Destroy a Buddy Holly song, which is our version of Raining in My Heart, with a lead guitar solo on steel guitar, you know. But I when you said I'm going to play Nightmare, I couldn't remember, you know. But
right.
yeah, it's all me on there on the guitar, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Right, okay.
Great lyrics on that as well.
Okay, recently you've reformed Shotgun.
Yes. Trying to get my trio quartet together round.
Yes, I do know one of them.
Yes,
he's the one that rings you late at night. Isn't he?
round Lowestoft, and Rob came up, Rob Murley, and bass player, and then we were talking because he was staying with me because I've got a house that's far too big for me. But anyway, we were sitting up till about 2, 3 in the morning drinking his rum and my whiskey, and he just happened to say that the first Shotgun album or Shotgun has taken off in Japan. And I said, "Oh, come on, Rob." I said, "You're getting away with yourself here." But he said, "Well, does PRS know your new number?" I said, "No." "Do they know your new address?" I said, "No." "Have you been in touch with them?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, there you go." So anyway, cut a long story short, we thought it'd be a good idea to reform Shotgun with, unfortunately, obviously, Dave Briggs has retired. Neil Brown has died, and obviously, sadly, Ray Neal has died. So, in my old age, I do like a second guitarist with me. So we thought, well, what about Dick? So we asked Dick Cannon to. We've just recorded an EP which comes out in October, and I think we've been asked to do an album. We've got some things that are in the making for festivals abroad and stuff. So, it's all jolly exciting, It's most invigorating and great fun.
Good. Is there any other projects you're up to now?
Yeah.
Or any other bands you're in as well at the same time?
Well, I'm basically been depping. I've been depping for Shindig, been depping in Rock House the other week to back Graham.
Yeah.
They wanted me. I don't know why I was there, but apparently I invested zest and vigour into the proceedings. I'm trying to get my trio and quartet together around the wine bars and pubs and stuff and clubs in Lowestoft. I've got my 12-piece band still on the go. As soon as Chris McGee finishes what he's doing, working for all these gospel churches in Atlanta, Georgia, then I'll get together with a massive, great video. If you want to see the other 3 videos, which are a great expense with the big band, it's Iain Terry and the Smiley Jacks Band. You can look at them up on YouTube. Look up Rockabilly Drag Racer, which on the last thing it's going up to about 500,000 hits, with a fantastic drum solo by the Tuck Brothers. Also, there's a version of Ray Sharp's Let Me Love You Baby, with the big band on there. And what else did I do? Oh yeah, I did another version of Down in the Jungle, which is all on YouTube. So if you want to look up Iain Terry and the Smiley Jacks Band, and don't forget to do the thumbs up sign if you like it. And that's still on the back burner. Got my trio, my quartet. See what happens with Shotgun. I'm just rolling along really for the next few years while I can still do it. I don't feel 74, and so I'm told I don't look it. I still jump about on stage like an idiot, so
why not?
See what happens. I'll probably end up like Freddie King, have a heart attack and go. Let's go.
Yeah, that's no joke.
Oh, who cares? I've lived forever anyway.
The future of rock and roll, how do you see it?
Well, yeah, I've been mulling that over since you warned me about this question before we came on air. I can't really see that it's going to go any different, really. The only thing that I can see is possibly big band experimentation with in a direction towards sort of like the Johnny Otis, Alan Freed big band kind of thing. Maybe that might happen. Yeah. But I think really what attracts us to the beat of the 50s, the 60s and earlier 40s and 30s, be it country swing, contemporary country, rock and roll, rockabilly, psychobilly, whatever. I think what basically attracts us all to that kind of music is the, not to get too technical about it, is the 4 beat, the 8 beat to the bar, and the 12 bar, which is basically the 3 chord structure of blues, rock and roll, country. And I think if you get away from that 1-4-5 business, people know what I'm talking about, musicians, 1-4-5. 4-5 is the 2 subdominant chords in the key. 1 is the main key. And I think if you get too far away from that, it's not rock and roll.
No.
So I think all that's going to change in the future, long after I'm gone, probably long after you're gone, it's just a new batch of youngsters coming up for the second, third, fourth more generations, like my daughter, thank God, putting new zest into it. I can't see the electronics changing much. What can you do with the electric guitar? If you get away from the electric guitar too much, you end up like a Moog synthesizer or something. We all know what happened there. So I think it'll just go on with possibly more original, the same backbeat. Maybe the bands might get bigger in the future, a little bit bigger. They might have a couple of trumpets and a 3-chord part sax section with maybe a trombone thrown in. You might get a big band doing away with the guitar. I can't really see it,
Well, that's thanks ever so much for your input tonight, Ian, and
Thank
being
you.
here as well. We've actually come to the end of the show, folks. We've run out of time, so as we could talk to Ian all night, I know that, because he's got so much wealth of knowledge as well.
I haven't told you about hiding from the German mafia yet either.
I'll tell you what, we get back, we'll have you here another time as well.
The riots in Germany and France.
Right, so I'd just like to thank Mel for being here as well. So
thank you, Mel.
And thank Ian as well, and Chris, who's well, he's sorted us all out being here tonight.
I think it's cup of tea time.
So, and most of all, like to thank you folks for listening, and we'll be back next week with the Rockin' 80s at part 5. Thanks a lot, folks. I'm Radar, and Ian and Mel saying good night.
Good night, sweetheart.
From the day he was born, life on the road with the carnival of souls. Got no legs and stuck in a box, predicting prediction for the rest of us all. Faceless expression stuck behind the glass, master of bizarre with a mechanical laugh. Put a penny in the slot. Come try your luck, your destiny unlocked. Well, close your eyes and make a wish, and Zoltan casts a spell. You make a choice, he prints a card, your future is foretell. Your fate is your fortune, your thoughts say nonetheless. Just because Zoltan says. His ill-fated past is your future he'll foresee. Zoltar weeps as he's been cursed for life. Our human machine must make this sacrifice. Close your eyes and make a wish, and Zoltar casts a spell. You make a choice, he prints a card, your future is foretell. Your fate is your fortune, your thoughts say nonetheless. Just because Zoltar says